Hello, my name is Mathias and welcome to the FPL Scope and my team selection video for Gameweek 10. I'm back in Oslo again after having a vacation in Barcelona with my good friend Kevin and podcast co-host. And usually at around this time we are filming the FPL Scope podcast, but this week, because of the vacation and stuff, that sort of falls apart. We can't really do the podcast this week, but as always, in the podcast, we do the manager of the week, where the highest scoring manager of the previous week gets his team or her team featured on the podcast usually, but I'll feature that team actually in this team selection video where I'll look at the best performing team in the FPL Scope Mini League from Gameweek 9 and see what they can do in Gameweek 10. And if you want to be the manager of the week, you can join the FPL Scope Mini League yourself, and the league code is V9JT0D. And if you have the highest score in Gameweek 10 or Gameweek 11, 12, all the way until Gameweek 38, in any single game week, if you get the highest score, you'll get featured on the podcast. But I'll feature the Gameweek 9 winner of the Manager of the Week on this very video. So yeah, after that long-winded intro, let me get straight to what's on the agenda, and that is looking at my Gameweek 9 score first, and then we go looking at my Gameweek 10 plans. Then we're going to look at the Manager of the Week in terms of Gameweek 9 score and Gameweek 10 plans. And then we also look at the free hit draft that I'm going to do every single week now as well in this video. So yeah, first with my Gameweek 9 score, a pretty good score of 86 points. It was a really high scoring game week in general, but 86 points was enough to give me a green arrow in most leagues. Not every single mini league I wound up. Some mini leagues actually had a red arrow, but I did have a decent green arrow in terms of the overall rank. So I'm now 334k in the world, just about, with 575 points. That's pretty good. But in terms of points behind the top 10k, I actually lost 2 points. The top 10k, like I said. I actually lost 2 points compared to the top 10k. So I'm 48 points behind the top 10k now. And top 10k is always what I aim to finish at. That's been the same case since back when I started FPL in like 09-10 until now. Obviously, there are far more FPL managers and far more engaged FPL managers now as well. Like really hardcore FPL managers who look into stats and all that stuff and watch videos like these. So it's much harder competition now, but still top 10k remains my goal, and I'm now 48 points behind that goal. So still a little bit to catch up, but yeah, I have pretty good faith in my team and my future plans as well. So talking about the Gameweek 9 score, had some pretty nice scores from Salah especially. I wish I had captained him. I did think about it briefly, but I was pretty set on Haaland captain against Brighton at home, because I figured Brighton are there for the taking and Haaland can score a lot of goals against anyone. And that's what we saw in the midweek in the Champions League when he scored 2 goals against the young boys. So yeah, I wish he had done that in the league instead, Haaland, but he did take his goal really well against Brighton. He didn't really get many chances, but the one chance that he really got against Brighton, he did score. So he is in decent form still, Haaland, and that's why I went with him as captain, but I wish it was Salah, because Salah got 2 late goals against Everton, 1 penalty and 1 injury time second goal as well to give him all the 3 bonus points, give him a huge haul of 16 points, 32 points for anyone that captained them, so congrats to you guys. I wish I was one of them, but sadly I was not. But I did pick up the slack in other ways. I also had Alvarez, who scored against Brighton, who was really good. I had Son, who had a goal and assist for Spurs in their 2-0 win against Fulham. It seems to be the norm for Son nowadays, to get a goal and assist, and for Spurs to win 2-0. It seems like that's usually what happens every game week, so feeling pretty good about Son. There's the other Spurs players that I have. I don't have Madison. I do have Udogie and Pedro Porro. Sadly, Udogie got a little bit of a knock during the game and had to be subbed off, so he only got the 1 point, sadly. But Pedro Porro got the clean sheet and got 6 points, so that was good for him as well. Saka got an assist with 5 points, but the big scorer for me that was kind of a differential this week was Brian Mbeumo, who scored a massive 14 points. He played at home against Burnley, and that was a really good fixture. I have been pretty upset with Mbeumo in terms of his performances in FPL lately, but against Burnley, he was back to his best, scoring a really nice goal, getting an assist for Johan Vissa as well. 14 points, really well done from Mbeumo. But that might be the end of the road for Mbeumo as well, as we'll get to see. The final thing I want to talk about with the Gameweek 9 score is the goalkeeper. Went for Turner in the end, and it looked like a decent decision because Nottingham Forest had a 2-0 lead against Luton. It looked like they were going to get a clean sheet, but then Luton scored 2 really scrappy goals, and Turner not only lost his clean sheet points, but he also lost an extra point for the 2 goals conceded. Meanwhile, on my bench, I had Mark Flecken, and he actually started, even though I thought he was going to be not going to be ready for this game. He actually got a clean sheet for Brentford against Burnley, so I wish I had started Flecken. I wish I had hoped that Flecken would be ready and ready to play in that game. But at the same time, Flecken has been pretty horrendous for me, so I probably would have stayed with Turner anyway, even if I knew Flecken was going to start 100%. So yeah, not really too many things wrong there. But also on my bench, I have Kabore, who once again started on the bench for Luton as well, came on for 30 minutes and looked pretty good offensively, but obviously didn't get many points against Nottingham Forest. Archer, again, just blanking every single game week, it seems like, for Sheffield United. But the main man on the bench is Sven Botman, who is now out for at least a couple more weeks. Game week 11 and game week 10 look also kind of in the balance, especially game week 11. And of course, game week 10, which is the upcoming game week. So Botman is someone that I might have to sell, and Mbeumo is actually also someone that I'm potentially looking to sell. So that's what we're going to look at with my current plans for game week 10. So yeah, as you can see, game week 10, I have 2 transfers available since I didn't use a single transfer last game week. And that leaves me with a decent amount of options, but I think the one thing that I am going to do is I'm going to say goodbye to Mbeumo. He has a really tough match against Chelsea away. He has pretty tough fixtures in general after this. He does have West Ham at home in game week 11, which is a pretty good game on paper because West Ham defensively have not been that good this season. We saw that again in the Europa League just now against Olympiacos, where they conceded 2 goals pretty stupidly. So that's a good fixture for Mbeumo. So I don't really think it's too bad to keep Mbeumo, but at the same time, there are just so many good midfielders at the moment, and especially one of them is Kaoru Mitoma, who is having a lot of really easy matches coming up for Brighton. He's most likely going to play every game. He's played 9 out of 11 games so far, I think, and the 2 games that he didn't start in, I think he got didn't get 90 minutes in, rather. He got 80 minutes in one of them and then 45 minutes where he scored 2 goals in the other. So Mitoma is pretty much nailed for Brighton, who have really good fixtures, and I think they're going to pick up their form as well. They have a really good result now, currently, as I'm filming this. They are leading 2-0, I think, in the Europa League. But yeah, so I think Mitoma is a really good player. I haven't had him enough for as big of a fan as I am of Mitoma. I have only had him for 2 game weeks so far in FPL history, and those 2 game weeks he blanked. And that was last year when he was at his best, basically. He had 3 or 4 game weeks in a row where he scored a lot of points. Then I brought him in for 2 game weeks. He blanked in both those game weeks, and I wildcarded him out, and then he started scoring again. So hopefully I'll have better luck this time, but I'm pretty certain I'm going to do this transfer. I might have already done this transfer by the time you watch this video, because the prices about the defender prices that might affect my transfers as well might have changed overnight. So I might have to do these transfers just after filming this, actually. But yeah, by doing Mbeumo to Mitoma, I get 0.1 million in the bank for me to use, and I'm probably going to sell Botman because he's injured now, and especially now with Udogie as well also being a doubt for the Crystal Palace game. I sort of feel like I need another good defender because Kabore can't be trusted. Udogie can't really be trusted to start either. Botman is not going to start, so that leaves me on only 2 playing defenders. So I have 2 options, and one of the options is more urgent than the other one, and that is Botman to Gabriel Magalhaes, because with Mbeumo to Mitoma, Mbeumo is currently worth 6.5 in terms of selling price for me, and Mitoma is worth Mbeumo is 6.6 and Mitoma is worth 6.5. So I'll get 0.1 from that, and that money I can use to upgrade Botman to Gabriel. But Gabriel is about to go up in price, and Botman is about to go down in price. So I might have to do that transfer after making this video, actually, before it's posted as well. So I might have done these transfers already, but if I wait it out, I might potentially wait it out for the Friday deadline as well, see if Udogie starts, and then make my transfer. Hope that Botman and Gabriel stay with their same price before Friday. But if there are some price changes, or if I don't feel like pulling the trigger with getting Gabriel for this game week, I could still do Botman to Tsimikas, which I will always have enough money to do. So that's another good option. And I'm not quite sure about Gabriel versus Tsimikas. I did rank Gabriel higher in terms of the weekly wildcard draft earlier this week. I think especially his game this game week against Sheffield United is a really good game week for him, Gabriel Magalhaes, and I really want him for that game week. So I'm currently leaning towards just doing these 2 transfers right after this video, actually, just looking at the Europa League results and stuff for those matches to conclude, and then probably doing Mbeumo to Mitoma, I'm most certainly going to do, and then probably going to do Botman to Gabriel as well. And that leaves me with a pretty good team. The only issue with my team is the goalkeepers, I think. Flecken against Chelsea away, it's not the best fixture, but at the same time, Chelsea haven't really been that impressive going forward. So I don't know, it feels like a game that Flecken might actually get some points in. So I'm not too worried about that fixture. Obviously, I'm not going to play Turner against Liverpool away because he's going to concede several goals. That's why I currently have Salah as captain. That's also something I'm going to talk about pretty soon. But yeah, I have the 2 Spurs defenders against Crystal Palace away, and I think that's a really, really good fixture. So that's the thing. If I do the Botman to Gabriel transfer, do I bench Udogie with the worry that he might play just a few minutes and then he has to be subbed off, or he gets subbed in and gets only 1 point? Maybe. But I really like that fixture, Crystal Palace away. I think Crystal Palace are pretty terrible going forward currently. So I really like to double up on the Spurs defenders. But just the slight doubt with Udogie makes me feel like I have to bench him. And other than Udogie, I can't really see anyone that I should bench if I bring in Gabriel. And obviously I have to play Gabriel as well if I bring him in, because he's playing Sheffield United at home. So that's probably what I'm going to do. Bring in Gabriel or Shimikas for Botman and then start him over Udogie and just have Udogie on the bench. Save him for a rainy day, I guess. I do also have Pedro Porro, who plays against Crystal Palace away as well, obviously. Porro actually looks like the better pick compared to Udogie, but I do have more money invested in Udogie, as I got him for 4.5, while I got Pedro Porro for 5.1 or 5.0, can't remember exactly. But yeah, I feel really good about him as well. Then I have the Aston Villa boys, Cash against Luton at home, and Diaby against Luton at home. I don't have Watkins against Luton at home. That is a big worry for me this game week, because I feel like Watkins is actually the best captain's option this game week in general. I did slightly think about potentially selling Haaland to get Watkins, because I can't really see any other way that I get Watkins easily, even by selling Alvarez. So Haaland to Watkins would be the only way, but after seeing Haaland play in the Champions League now, being back to his best possibly, it's just too risky. I feel like Haaland is going to be a really good player, and he has a decent captaincy shout as well. They play Man United, and Man United are really bad lately, but I feel like there are some really good captaincy shouts with Salah and Saka especially, which I'll talk about pretty soon. I also have Son against Crystal Palace away. I feel like Son can score in any game. He's just that good of a player. I feel like he is a pretty important player to have currently, so I'm probably going to stick with him. Diaby, like I said, Luton at home, really good fixture for him. And Buemo turns into Mitoma, who plays against Fulham at home. That's a really good fixture for him. And then Haaland and Alvarez against Man United, I feel like are also really good picks this game week. So pretty confident with my 11. It's just a matter of who I pick as captain. Do I go against Salah yet again, like I did last week when I went with Haaland over Salah? I am pretty tempted to go with Saka. First of all, because Sheffield United at home is a really good fixture. But second of all, Saka is going to be a really differential captain in a game week where most people will be, I assume like 40-50% of people will captain Salah probably, amongst those that have him at least. But then some people will captain Haaland, some people will captain Watkins, few people will captain Son and Saka as well. So I feel like this is a decent game week to go with a differential captain. But at the same time, backing in Salah doesn't feel entirely right. But I do feel like Saka's fixture is better than Salah. It's just the fact that Saka is always like slight injury doubt, slight injury issue. He might be subbed off because of like potential injuries, or like niggles and stuff. So yeah, it's really hard to choose between Saka and Salah for me for captaincy. But currently leaning towards Salah, but at the same time, Nottingham Forest have played pretty defensively against the top 6 sides this season. I've been pretty good defensively against the bigger teams this season as well. So yeah, I'm sort of like, my gut tells me to go with Saka, but my brain tells me to go with Salah. Don't ask me about the third part where that wants me to go. But either way, tough captaincy decision that will probably go all the way until the deadline for me to decide between Salah and Saka. I still need to see what happens. Salah was just subbed on for Liverpool in the Europa League game as well, where Darwin Núñez actually scored, had an assist, and then got subbed off. So I think Darwin Núñez is also a really good shout this game week, which we'll get into more pretty soon when we go to the free hit team. But yeah, those are my current plans for Game Week 10. Let's look at the Manager of the Week, how they scored this past game week, and the plans for the Manager of the Week next game week, or what I think they should do for Game Week 10 as well. So yeah, Manager of the Week this week is Jeff. Nice name. I think it is actually Norwegian, a fellow Norwegian like me. And Jeff is also a name that I remember from last season when there were a lot less people in the FPL Scope Mini League. So it's nice to see one of the OGs actually become Manager of the Week. 112 points, really good game week. Jeff captained Salah for the 32 points, still had Son for 14 points, Madison with 9 points, Neto again providing the assist, getting 4 points, Douglas Luiz with a massive haul, 2 goals against West Ham, 15 points in total. The same game where Watkins got a goal as well and an assist for 11 points. Haaland vice captain with 8 points, really good. Trippier with 10 points, another assist. more bonus and another clean sheet for Trippier, who just keeps scoring and keeps hurting my rank personally. Cash and Turner did blank. There are some blanks with the manager of the week as well. But Lascelles with another nice 6-pointer as well for only 3.9 million, which is a really good price. So yeah, in total, a really good team in general. Jeff wildcarded in Gameweek 8, and that has paid dividends. Kept Haaland, and that worked out still as well, because you could have kept Haaland in Gameweek 8 and still have it work out for you as well, as you can see from this team clearly. So really good Gameweek in general. Only thing with this team is that the bench is a bit weak, especially for next week, and that's what we're going to look at right now. 112 points is really good though from Jeff, so really happy to see that for the manager of the week. Then when we come to the current plans of the manager of the week, this is the team that is most likely to start, and it's basically the same 11 like last time. Joachim Andersen, who's like the only good bench player on this team, has Spurs, which is not a fixture you want to play Andersen, but luckily for Jeff, the whole team has pretty decent fixtures in general. There is the issue of Neto playing against Lascelles and Trippier, so you are kind of capped in terms of how many points you can get, unless Trippier gets an assist for Lascelles, for example, and Neto scores. That's the only way you can get a lot of points from that. So that is like the slight issue, but I think with 0.5 in the bank, there's not really any like easy ways to upgrade Mobama or Lamptey, and you don't really want to sell Andersen either, because after this game, Andersen and Crystal Palace have some really good fixtures. So yeah, I think standing pat and just doing no transfers is probably the best idea for this team. They have a pretty good team. I don't think Douglas Luiz is the best pick for the long haul, but playing against Luton at home, he scores in every home game, it seems like, and Luton at home is like one of the best fixtures of the season. So I think that is a pretty good game week to just keep Douglas Luiz as well. Could potentially sell Neto and get someone like Palmer or Adingra, especially Adingra, who has a really good fixture this week against Fulham at home. That's also a decent alternative. There's also a lack of Arsenal midfielders in this team. I would not sell Son for Saka, personally, just because we know Son is such a good player this season. Madison for Martinelli is a different thing. Maybe you can do that. Maybe you can do Madison to Bowen. That's another potential transfer that you might want to make. But I think standing pat is perfectly reasonable with this team, and having 2 transfers in Game Week 11 with 0.5 in the bank and being able to do like bigger, more substantial changes to the team might make more sense for this team. But yeah, I think personally, if I would have to do a transfer, it would probably be Madison to Mitoma, for example, and get some money that way that you can upgrade another position for the next game week. But that's pretty much the only real suggestion I have for transfers, apart from just standing pat, which I think is still the best option currently. This is always nice to save the transfers if you can. It's always nice to have 2 transfers. That's what you can see with my team as well. So I think that's the best idea going forward. But in general, really good team. 2 Newcastle defenders against Wolverhampton. Could potentially concede a goal there, because Newcastle or Wolverhampton are pretty good offensively. Newcastle did concede now in the Champions League against Dortmund, but in the league they've been really good in terms of keeping clean sheets. So no huge worries there with those defenders, but at the same time, could be better as well. But yeah. When it comes to captaincy, like I said, I think Watkins is probably the best captaincy option this week. And seeing as Jeff has Watkins in the team, I think that is the captaincy shout to go with this game week. So yeah, Salah is still a really good option though. No Saka here to contend with when it comes to Salah, but I think Watkins is an even better pick. So if you want to be a bit risky, go with Watkins. If you feel like going safe, go with Salah. Salah is always a really nice safe option. So that just comes down to your preference, really, if you want to go with Watkins or Salah. But I think both are really viable captaincy options, as well as Saka. And to be fair, Son and Haaland aren't the worst captaincy shouts either, but I would have them like a tier below the other 3. Yeah, that is pretty much the manager of the week current plans. And like I said, if you want to be the manager of the week, you can join the mid league with the league code V9JT0D. So let's move on to the final part of the video, and that is the free hit draft. The free hit draft that I did last week, see how that did in terms of points in general, and then also look at my potential best free hit draft for Game Week 10. So my free hit draft for Game Week 9 actually scored less points than my own personal team. 10 points less with a Game Week rank of 3.1 million, which is not good at all. It did only feature 3 blanks though, this team. But those 3 blanks were the 3 players that I deemed my favorite differentials this week. So that was Diogo Jota. Looked really good in the Europa League, by the way. Scored a really nice goal against Toulouse. But in the league, didn't really do much. Gibbs White, who had some decent chances for Nottingham Forest in the game against Luton, but couldn't really convert anything. Chris Wood was the man to get in that game for Nottingham Forest with 2 goals and a lot of points. And then Rasmus Højlund, who had several huge chances for Man United to score against Sheffield United, but he didn't manage to convert his chances. So yeah, feel kind of hard done by with those players, but the rest of the squad was really good. But at the same time, this was a week where most people were pretty good, so that is always really tough to go against when it comes to your free hit. So hopefully you didn't use your free hit last game week, and having this in my video is by no means like encouragement for you to use your free hit. It's obviously very team dependent if you want to use your free hit or not, but yeah, let's take a look at what I would choose if you are free hitting in Game Week 10. And once again, I wouldn't really advise free hitting in Game Week 10, but if you are, this is my suggested team. So yeah, this is pretty much my suggested team for Game Week 10. Double Arsenal defense with Raya in goal against Sheffield United at home. Gabriel at home against Sheffield United as well. Like I said earlier, really decent chance to score because Sheffield United are really bad when it comes to defensive set pieces. Medicash, I feel like you just need to have when it's Luton at home. You just got to hope he plays at right wing. That's the only issue. If he plays at right back, he's not quite as explosive, but just in case he plays more offensively, you need to have him in your free hit draft, I think. And then Pedro Porro, I think, has had decent chances to score lately. He's looked really good, really offensive, and I think that is the game that is the most likely to have a clean sheet. Personally, I think Spurs against Crystal Palace. I don't think Crystal Palace will score, so I think Pedro Porro is a really good pick for that game. Then I have Salah. I actually have Salah as captain here. I probably should have changed that, but either way, Salah or Watkins, both of them are really good captaincy shouts. Salah obviously makes sense as a starter. Son, like I said, Saka, like I said, the 3 S's. Salah, Son, Saka. Just have them in your team. They're pretty important players to have. Jared Bowen against Everton at home. Another really good potential point scorer. He scored twice against Everton last season, and Bowen is in really good form. West Ham are not in good form, but that shouldn't affect Bowen too much. And Everton at home is a game where you expect West Ham to win, especially me as a West Ham fan, going against Everton, which is Kevin's favorite team, my podcast co-host. So hopefully Bowen bangs there and gets 2 goals. Mitoma against Fulham at home. I've spoken about him quite a lot. I really like Brighton's fixtures going forward, and Mitoma is the best player for Brighton in terms of both minutes and in terms of point returns. So yeah, he makes a lot of sense for 6.5 there. Watkins is Solanke up front. I'm going against the City attackers, which might bite me in the ass for this free draft, but yeah, I feel like this is these strikers are better. Watkins against Luton at home, like I said, one of the best captaincy shouts this game week, potentially the best. Don't really have to say much more about that. And then Solanke against Burnley at home. I think Burnley at home is just a picture. Burnley in general is just the team to target. And you need to get players from that team, even though it is Bournemouth. But Solanke has shown that he is a really good player, so I really like Solanke against Burnley at home. But if you're not that confident about Bournemouth, then maybe you want to back Brighton instead. So I think Evan Ferguson has a decent chance of starting this game week. Didn't start in the Europa League, but I think he has decent chances of starting as a striker against Fulham at home. And if he does, he could score a hat-trick like he did earlier in the season. So I think Ferguson is also another really good shout. Then Tsimikas as well. Can't go without him either in terms of like a decent option for Game Week 10. That's why I'm considering bringing him in personally. And then finally, a little bit of a wild card. It is Axel Disasi for Chelsea. I think like having these players are kind of fun on a free hit. Having players that no one else has really. Disasi has shown that he can score goals and stuff. So yeah, I really like the potential of Disasi as well against Brentford, who are not the best team, even though they had a pretty good game week now against Burnley. So that's pretty much the team. Pretty happy with that free draft. Let's see how it works out in general. In terms of how it compares to my team, the team currently has 6 players that I own personally in my own team, as you can see from my own current plans. There are 6 players here that I already have, but it could go to 8 players that I have if I do the Gabriel and Mitoma moves personally. That would mean that 8 out of the 15 players on my ideal free hit draft are players that I have in my current team. So I feel pretty good about my game week, and I think a lot of people have potential to have really good game weeks as well. So maybe that counts against me, but either way, I think it's a pretty decent game week for a lot of players, especially the Arsenal fixture against Sheffield United, and yeah. Also, Aston Villa against Luton, obviously. That's why I've doubled up and tripled up on these teams. So yeah, that is all my thoughts for Game Week 10. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. Hopefully you enjoyed me making videos even when I was out at vacation. Hopefully you can subscribe because of that. That would be really nice. But yeah, either way, until next time, see ya and goodbye.